Madiba, we're now joined by men of operatic voices, Lucky Sibanda Kasongo and Agas Mwahi from Afro Tenors. These are young people who have embraced the vision of Udada to step into the terrain we are not familiar with. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
Hello.
We're
Hello,
missing
Robert.
a brother.
Yeah.
Rumor has it he's sick,
Yeah, he couldn't make it, unfortunately, today. Yeah.
You're the true example, Robert and I were speaking about you earlier on. You're the true example of understanding freedom, not to be the physical freedom from the jail, but also the freedom of choice, the freedom of being the best version of yourselves that you could be. Out of all the musical genres you could have studied and prepared this moment for, opera spoke to you.
Ishwena, you can say that again. You know, our debut performance was in '98, and it had the honor of Utata Nelson Mandela as the guest of honor. And he gave us a standing ovation. It was live on TV, ne? This guy kept on saying, countdown before he show it. Put 5 minutes, we're going to be very famous. I tell you, it was only one song. And then Tata stood up and the whole house stood up. You know, the following day we were getting calls saying, hey, who are those boys? Can we record them? You know, and we say like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, okay, as many you know, it will happen, and I remember just after the show itself, we were with Mama Yvonne. So Tata was walking out, and Yvonne said, hey, was Nina? Hey, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Was Tata? You know, so we came. And just before he walked out, Dr. Agric lasted the late. And he said, class, you see, these boys must be promoted. And I'm telling you, from that day, we were promoted.
So thanks to Tata.
No, and I was actually going to ask about that. I mean, Agos, when you look at the influence of Tata and what he did, you've just relayed a beautiful story about what he did in terms of promoting you. Do you think, though, when he spoke about equality, and then your choice of going this way, you guys have got it. And when you started, social media went crazy because it was like, wow, it's happening for real.
Yeah. What happened, Robert? Utata was a platform.
Yeah.
That was the first time I want to reveal at that time, 1998. So, and Marnaritsuhili.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Marnaritsuhili. And then so, yeah,
we were slender.
Yeah. And the opportunity of Vinela Tata, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. It was a blessing.
So today must be a very difficult day because imagine your first time being on stage, your debut, he gives you the biggest endorsement that nobody could have scripted better.
You know,
today you've been given that responsibility of saying goodbye to him.
Absolutely. You know, in the after that particular performance, Sabonu Tata many a times, and every time Slangana something new would emerge. You know, I sometimes joked about Tata, if he wasn't a politician or if we were not faced with difficult times in our country, what profession Tata could have chosen? And I thought to myself, no, he could have been a comedian. I'm telling you, he had the most amazing sense of humor. You know, when he says something, he just cracks a joke. You know, and no matter how serious it can be. I remember this one time we were performing Monte Casino. It was organized by Ackerman. And when he was no longer president then, you know, he was former president. So Mabembi's to the podium. He says, I'm sure all of you decided to honor this invitation, mainly because you want to see how a retired old president looked like. You know? You know? And I remember after that one, he immediately said, you know, at one stage he made a comment about his dress code. He said, you know, what kind of a president are you? You always rock up in shirts, you know, not tucked in. Mandela said to him, it's funny coming from a man who's always wearing dresses. That could only have come from Madiba, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he was always able to throw something back. He was never wanting to be the hero, the boss, the person in charge. It was always you, the person in charge. And that's what I want to find out from you, though. How do we use music, your genre, any genre, to unite a nation in the same way that Tata always saw unity happening in whether it was sport or music?
Robert, Tata in the Motomoliana and Arata music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so hore re tle be re kene mo music on opera go na re etsa hore setjhaba se tsebe hore Afro Tenor 18 ya phila.
Yeah.
And then hape kore ke taba ya hore Ntate Mandela o re rutile hore re rate batho and o rutile hore re hlompe batho. O tlisisa
And
ke
to
yona
add on
ntho e
that-
entseng hore re kgone ho ba ntho e one, re kgone hore batho ba kgone ho utlwisisa music wa rona, because music wa rona e ne le only for whites.
Yeah.
O tlisisa
100%.
I mean, to
For
add on
whites.
that, we've traveled extensively. You know, it comes with the job requirement. And Utata, as you've always known, he was an advocate education. And we went to school and we studied this thing called opera. You know, we studied it in German, in French, and Italian, you know, trying to master the craft itself. And everywhere we travel around the world, you know, we still do those, you know, standard numbers, you know, international numbers. But then we said to ourselves, look here, we are the Afro tenors. We have our own African classics. We had the Irish tenors, you know, we have, you know, the Italian tenors like your Pavarotti or Jose Carreras and your Domingo. And we wanted the music of our people to be heard by the world. And the world could only associate with an operatic technique, which is a universal language, because you go anywhere in the world, an operatic technique is being recognized. So that was our vehicle, you know, to master this craft, but at the same time, remain being African.
I think it's a very important point to always understand that no matter how big we become or how much we travel the world and become these global citizens, we are indeed Africans within this global village. And I think it's a beautiful lesson that Afro tenors are living day to day. We're going to take you back to a very important moment in our history. Lest we forget in 2006 when Sir Blatter picked up that piece of paper and said Afrique to Sud. Fast forwarding it to the year 2010 when Utata Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela walked into that stadium and we erupted with joy. We want to remind you of that beautiful moment. People of all races, black and white, came together to support the national team, Bafana Bafana, in this world event. Social cohesion and togetherness was at its highest levels. The national flag was everywhere, and the national soccer team enjoyed support from all South Africans across racial lines. Who can forget Oshabalala?
And you know what people are saying right now, as we've been asking people to send us through their messages of remembrance, but also just any message. And we're talking about sporting issues just now. And here Timo says, Madiba passes away. South African cricket demolish India. South African Sevens win the rugby EP leg. And now the South African under-20s reign supreme. Madiba magic. Hashtag right there. Thank you so much, Timo, for reminding us of the magic that Madiba had. And joining us here in studio, some fans, you know, these are crazy fans because they love sport, especially soccer. Mamchinet Mahlangu's here. And Dejan is also here. They say that he's one of those crazy people. That's all. Whose vuvuzela is this?
Was it yours, Dejan?
You can't just
He's
chill
like,
there.
mine.
Please, just show us that this is actually yours. How do you, just remind us how you blow a vuvuzela?
You know the story, yeah?
You know that. Sure. I think at some point we had goldfish in here. They've disappeared after that.
They've gone. They've gone.
Dejan, Mam Jeanette, let me start off with you. That is gone. And I think we all, thinking back, memories. You draped in the South African flag. Chiefs is number one in your heart. For him, it's Orlando Pirates, but also Bafana Bafana. What has been the symbol of Utata to you?
Wow. Where do I begin? I think for me, I have always been a sports fan, a Kaizer Chiefs supporter, obviously. And with the background that we have as South African people, rugby for me was like something not to talk about. Yeah. Like, I don't even go there. I don't even know what that is, you know? And that day when I saw my hero, my dad, which is Tatu Madiba, draped in green, which is color of hope, and walking in there with a smile on his face, and actually asking all of us to come together and be one and support Amapogopogo. I did not even question that, because when you love Utata the way that we should, he's more like your moral compass. Whatever he says just goes. You don't even question it. So I was like, okay, he's there in that green jersey. He's smiling, you know. I've got to do it. And then I started asking around, you know, about rugby, you know, what is a try, what is that? Yeah. Then I started getting involved and started enjoying rugby, you know, to an extent that when I think it was, okay, I'm not very good with dates, but when rugby was on, when we were celebrating Madiba, you know, on Madiba's day, when the national team was playing,
yes, 18th of August.
I was there. I was sitting right at the front. Yeah. I was screaming my lungs out. I was dancing like there is no tomorrow. Wow. You know, I would know that, okay, there's a penalty now. Okay, there's a try, you know.
That's a drop goal.
Yeah, so for me, he introduced me to something that, you know, I never really cared about. And, you know, that day he actually helped me to see that we, as South Africans, we really need to come together. And whatever it is that belongs to the white people, it belongs to us as well. We are just one people. We are South Africans.
Dejan,
yes.
You were born in Serbia. Yes. You are here in South Africa. Orlando Pirates' lover of soccer. Yes. In the stadiums, week in and week out, something has stolen your heart, clearly, when it comes to soccer.
Yes, definitely, Unyati. You know, it's big experience, you know, to be here in South Africa and live here so many years, you know, and be involved with the sport, especially the soccer, you know. I'll be in and out all over, you know, but he touches me, you know, when Mr. Mandela, when we achieved to have the World Cup, you know, and when he picked up that trophy, you know, and holding him the World Cup, so that we eventually as a fans, we realized that the World Cup is coming here, you know. So not only myself, but all the rest, the people in the whole South Africa, which they support the soccer, not only soccer, the rugby and the cricket and this, I'm sure definitely they was happy because we achieved to have and hosting the World Cup here in South Africa, you know, which I believe so he comes now to us in South Africa in 2010, and who knows when it will be happening again, maybe after 50 years or 100 years somewhere else in Africa, you know.
That's very true.
Dejan, where are the sunglasses?
I'll never bring them today. I'll leave
okay,
home.
All right. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Very, very quickly, Mam Jeanette, just short answer on this one. When you saw Tata coming out during the World Cup in that golf cart, did you ever think that that would be the last time the world would see him publicly?
Oh, I don't think anybody, you know, actually realized that. I think what death does to us, when somebody passes, you kind of like go back, you know, in your mind and try to remember, you know, that the last time I saw him, was there any indication, you know, is there something that was unusual? For me, the fact that he was wearing black on the day, and, you know, Tata would always, you know, like punch the air like that. But that day, he was just waving. Yeah. So for me, when I go back, I'm like, he was actually saying goodbye. We just didn't know. Maybe he also didn't know. But actually, he was just saying goodbye. Sure,
that's very profound. Dejan, from your side, same question?
From my side, he's what I like it's when win the African Cup of the Nation 1996, you know, when Neil Tovey, he passed that trophy to him and he picked him up with his both hands, you know. And also as well the another things what I remember very well, and this which is, it touches me also because he also died, he also passed away. I was former boxer, the Baby Jack McClellan, when the Baby Jack, he gave him that belts because he win that final fight, you know, and give that belts, the present, which is very, very expensive, you know, give it to him so that he can have in the in the memory. And also as well, the World Cup. The Rugby World Cup, when we win the Rugby World Cup here on Ellis Park, and when the Francois Pienaar, he give him the trophy, you know, and he picked him up with both hands, you know. So that was very, very touching moment for myself, and seeing that is what is all about, you know, that he was the leader, that person like that. I don't think so. We as a nation in South Africa, we can have for that maybe very, very long time, you know, because person like that is born only once. And you never know when he can be born again, you know. It's very important, and he did fantastic things for the South African nation, for the people in South Africa, not only for the South Africa, but also for the rest of the world. And I'm hope also in the morning I must inform and try to get through my communications. The Robert is laughing now here, you know, to see what the people in Serbia say. But I hope also the morning.
I was actually going to say that you need to take some of these and actually put them on an international aeroplane back to Serbia. Tell them that you are the champion Vuvuzela Blawa right here in South Africa.
But I'm sure also the morning themselves, you know, they
know that. They know that. They know that. Deja, I want to thank you so much, Mam Jeanette, as well. Now, I've been a quick experience. We haven't really shared our experiences with Tatu Madiba since we started this show last week, Sunday. Mine, obviously, the best was him accepting to come onto a radio show to talk about nothing political, but to talk about sport. A lot had happened at the time as well. Hansi Cronje, the whole match-fixing saga had reared its ugly head. He was willing to speak to him. He was willing to talk about Louis Leitzer issue. And he was just willing to talk about anything that had to do with sport. But then also hosting the golf, the President's Golf Challenge. Met him backstage. I'd worked a few times with him. And then he sees me backstage. He's like, Robert, it's you. You're working again. You work too hard. and then I was like, no, but you and I, you're the one that works hard. He says, you see, Zelda here tells me that I have been resting for 27 years. Now I must work.
You know, Rob, I have it on good authority that Baby Jake McClellan, Baby Jake McClellan, and Tatu Nelson Mandela are all sitting and gossiping about you right now. Because Tatu's going, you see, I won, Robert, but he's still working. And Uputvuyo is saying, but he had to in our case. I was fortunate to have met Tatu as well on a number of occasions. I think as much as he was willing to speak to you about sports, he spoke to us about music, and he didn't want to speak about sports, and he encouraged us, and he made us understand the importance of being a musician and having the words to speak to a nation. So we feel you, Tata, we love you, and we thank you for all your contributions and all your wise words with regards to us and making sure we work in truth and we walk in truth and we become people of influence, which is very, very important. We thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we hope that you will join us again. We'll be back. Do not change that dial. Assembly.